The power of the internet comes from our ability to create solutions by focusing only on the endpoints and not concentrating on everything in the middle. The telecom industry exists only to make it all about the stuff between. So those are antithetical. What we've seen with the internet is that we can do our own networking. We don't need a carrier in the middle. We don't need the middle. And where the confusion comes in public policy, we've done that so well that we completely spoof the telecom industry with internet connectivity. And in doing so, we've actually created our own problem because people want more telecom when they really want more internet. So once that's understood, we're ready to transition to post-internet connectivity with the essential line. Instead of the companies making money by limiting abundance and creating scarcity, thus more value per bit, we hire companies who make money by the more capacity they create and provide, the more money they make. The larger idea is decoupling markets. I mean, we have antitrust, which is the lame version, says you've got to permit new ideas to gain a hold by not stomping on them. The problem is antitrust isn't formulated for dynamically changing markets. So we lucked out with the IBM consent decree separating hardware from software. We lucked out with the internet in separating the applications like TCP and above level from the IP transport. And it even surprised the people who did it. They didn't expect to be this successful. But this is what Moore's Law is really about. Decoupling. So you can take a processor, instead of building a purpose-built Unix processor, just like with the IBM hardware, there's a lot more value if everybody can interpret it differently. I mean, this is the engine that drives evolution. Right now, we have all this physical infrastructure in place, and there's zero marginal cost to really use it. Yet, in order to do any application, you've got to sort of pay tax and meet the price hurdle of a gatekeeper. So if I want to do medical monitoring, something very simple, if this watch just watches my heart, I can't just make a deal with my physician and say, look, I'll give you a readout if there's an event. Instead, I need to make a major investment in making a deal like Amazon did with the Kindle to make it happen at all. So think of all the new ideas that don't get traction because they're not big enough to justify the millions of dollars in negotiations and guaranteed fees merely to keep you alive. They're just, if you didn't have to pay the gatekeeper, we'd have $1 trillion new innovation in the economy. Community network should be just like your home network. It should be a physical resource hired by people who make money not by creating value through scarcity, but like with roads, they're hired to operate the wires, and they're rewarded by getting more capacity out of the wires. And you want local connectivity, called the first square mile. So your schools connected, your hospitals are connected, your city halls connected. And it can also be, you save money. You don't have a separate police network, a fire network, even the traffic lights will be controlled. You can start to do new things. You can give people permission maybe to dim the traffic light in front of the house. The street light, not traffic light, that's a separate issue, in front of the house. Because now the policy is separate, so you can start to do things. You can do medical monitoring. Instead of relying on 9/11, which is only good for emergencies, you can have casual monitoring. You can monitor people at home. I mean, I can go on. There are just so many of these applications, which right now everyone is too complicated as a business because you first have to justify a separate infrastructure for each one. If you look inside the phone companies, there are perfectly good companies that manage gear. But those people are not treated well inside the companies. I've had them say, please, you call inside, but they're not going to answer our call at the central office. But if you allow them to come into their own, and many of them are acquired as companies, they're fully formed companies ready to operate infrastructure. You've got a lot more people who would do it. By cable companies, you see Hulu and Fancast, this is all moving around as they try to figure out what to do. But if they're forced to do it, because people basically say out loud, this doesn't work, and the investors get spooked. If the FCC realized their business is not to keep these companies alive, but to serve us. In 1934, they seemed the same. They're now divergent. Any one of these things will spook them. And once there's an awareness that broadband and the internet are the opposite. Broadband is not more internet. Broadband is less ability to do what the internet gives us, which is the ability to create our own solutions. All those factors start to come together in sort of the perfect storm type thing, where these companies will want and work to be basically reorganized. And what it takes is the government to recognize that it's in their interest and provide bridge funding in return for $1 trillion a year to the economy.